What's up, people? Welcome to week 6. Here I am. Don't worry, I'm the same person. Okay, might look a little different. Okay, but it's the same person. I'm still Mr. Byers. I'm still your teacher. Okay, I told you I was gonna get a haircut, and I didn't lie. All right, I did what I said I was gonna do, and I did it. Okay, so take this all in for a moment. Okay, we're good. Okay. All right, so by the time that you're watching this, you have already submitted your essays. At least you should have already submitted your essays. So good for you. And so we are not wasting any time. We're going straight from Unit 1 and you submitting your essays to Unit 2, which is poetry, okay? But before I get into that, this week, okay, if you're looking at our list of assignments and stuff, okay, we begin poetry unit, poetry analysis. Talk about I'm gonna show you how to I'm gonna demonstrate how to analyze a poem for theme, style, and criticism. Okay. Okay. So but this week there's a bunch of different videos to watch. Okay, not just this one right here that I'm going to put on. After you finish watching the lecture that I'm doing right now, like that you're literally watching. Okay. When you're done with that, and then whenever you have time, go to the lessons, not lectures, go to lessons. Scroll it on down to poetry unit, right there. There it is. Okay. The PowerPoint that I'm going over today is right here. It can be found right here where it says Introduction to Poetry PowerPoint. Okay, it's a PDF copy of the notes. And then it says here week 6, this is week 6, poems and analysis lectures. After you finish watching this lecture, then you'll watch these. There's 3 poems here: Neutral Tones by Thomas Hardy, Spring and Fall by Gerard Manley Hopkins, and then Madam and Her Madam by Langston Hughes. What you'll do is you will download the PDF, okay, and it's a poem. It's just a poem. Read the poem. I have some stuff highlighted. Read the poem, and then watch the analysis video. Okay, the analysis video is of me teaching an analysis of this poem, and I recorded these a couple years ago. So I'm gonna look. I might look different. My hair might be different because I think it was longer, not like super long, but longer than this in those videos. And they're in black and white. Not because I recorded them 80 years ago, but because my previous computer, the camera started to go out, and the first thing that went out was the color. So it was all black and white, and eventually the sound went out too. So I had to get a external camera to be able to record, which is what I recorded on previously. Okay, but yeah, so they're black and white, but I mean, who cares? You can still get what I'm saying in them. Okay, they look like artistic black and white, not old school technology black and white. All right, so read the poem and then watch the analysis. These are short poems. It's not like my analysis videos for those short stories. You're not like, oh my god, an hour-long video. No, these are short. These are like 7 minutes. Okay. So Spring and Fall, read it and then watch the analysis. Read Madam and Her Madam and then watch the analysis. Do all that before you get into doing the work, because it will help you. This week you're doing If We Must Die by Claude McKay. You'll read it and then you'll do this assignment. Which is a written assignment. You'll read this and then you will pick a couple of these to answer, okay? Make sure that all of your work is in MLA formatting. All these documents that you upload, they need to be in MLA formatting. You need to have your name and the proper heading and all that kind of stuff. Okay. And then extra credit. Extra credit is if you have time after watching this lecture and reading those 3 other poems and watching those lectures and then reading these 2 poems and writing about those, and you want extra credit, then you can do this Raven assignment. Read the Raven and do what it asks you to do. Okay. All right. You can ignore this other stuff. This is for later this week. Not this week. Nope. Later this semester. Okay. This unit. All right. So now I'm gonna go into the poem that you have a copy of. In my poem, I mean the PowerPoint about poetry. Geez, I just ate a bunch of my lunch, and now I think I'm all like food comatized. I thought it would give me energy to eat, but instead it's like I want to sleep and I want to digest, and I don't want that. Okay, let me pause 1 second. Sorry, I was having technical difficulties with the PowerPoint, but now here we go. All right, here we go. Poetry, English, 1102. Oh, my face just got froze in a very unattractive way. Oh, I'm back now. I'm good. Ooh, woo. All right, poetry 1102. Here we go. What is poetry? I'm sure you all know. I mean, y'all have been as college students now, which means that you've gone through high school. You've been taught poetry. No. Uh-oh. There's a timer on it. I don't want a timer. Poetry is arguably the purest form of writing. Poetry is a sense of the beautiful. It is art. Like art, it is very difficult to define because it is an expression of what the poet thinks and feels. It may take any form the poet chooses for this expression. Essentially this, poetry is not writing in paragraphs. It is an art form that allows people to not have to write in complete sentences, to not be direct. They can be symbolic. They can write in what we call lines and verses rather than complete sentences. It takes into account artistic expression over formal writing, formalities. Okay. So yeah, it is hard to define, but it is like this. Poetry is a creative use of words, which paint a picture. Okay. Now, some poetry can be very direct, and it's when it's being read out loud, you don't realize it's a poem because it sounds very direct. Other times, poetry can be read aloud and it sounds really confusing, and it's better to look at the lines and see the way it's written. So it's but ultimately though, it's art before it is anything else. Okay, the art is always first, and then the ideas and the logic and all that comes second. So subject matter can vary dramatically. There's free form, and then there is fixed form, and fixed form is when there's a pattern, there's specific lines, there are things like the sonnet, and then there are free form is a poem that has neither regular rhyme nor regular meter. I like free form. I don't like fixed form poetry. Fixed form poetry to me is too traditional. It's too conservative. I don't care for it personally, but it's just me. You are not going to be writing poetry in this unit. Okay, all we're doing is reading it and analyzing it. Okay, this is not a creative writing class. This is just a college writing course that deals with communication, and we're just using poetry as a medium to be able to analyze literature, analyze writing in general, and to write about it. Okay. Poetry, though, this is important because when you are going to be analyzing some poems for essay 2, you need to be able to differentiate between lines and stanzas. Okay. A line is an individual line. of a poem, and stanzas are kind of like paragraphs. Okay, they're chunks of poetry. So, for example, this great poem. I love this poem. Last night I went out walking. Okay, so in the parentheses you're going to see are lines. That parentheses and that number is the line number. So this poem goes: Last night I went out walking, out on the edge of town, not going no place special, only wandering around. I came upon a river. I thought about what you said, and couldn't stop it flowing and running through my head. You said that I've been changing and never seemed to laugh, but I can't recall the last time you smiled, and it's tearing me in half. I want to run and tell you the thoughts that are in my head, but I don't think that you would believe a single word I said. The river's water runs so cool, it calms my burning skin. It takes away my aching thoughts and cleanses all of my sin. So let it flow on, take me down, to sleep that quiet sleep, and roll my body back to you, my love, you may always keep. Now, I like this poem, even though, like, I mean, it's written kind of traditionally. Generally, I tell my students, my high school students, don't use rhyme because it's kind of elementary sounding. Okay, but what I like about this poem is that it uses a very traditional conservative style, four line, um, a rhyming scheme. Every line is rhyming. Okay, town, around, said, head, laugh, half, head, said, skin, sin, sleep, keep. Okay, so it presents itself as this traditional modeled poem with 4 lines per stanza. Okay, there's 5, 6, there's 6 stanzas, 4 lines per each one. But the topic of what it's talking about is this is written by somebody who deals with who's bipolar, and this was written after a really really bad episode where this person ended up having to go to is soon deciding to be checked into a psychiatric hospital, and he writes a lot of his stuff about his mental illness, and the end it gives a sense that, like, is he going to commit suicide? Is he seeing that the river is going to cleanse him and clean him, and it's going to, his body will be washed back to her, back to his wife, who is the one who's been kind of dealing with it with his psychotic breaks and his episodes and stuff. But also the song is not about suicide at all. It's about this idea of he's having a breakthrough. He's having an emotional psychological breakthrough where he's realizing he needs to go to the hospital. He needs to go get checked in, and he needs to get his medication, and he needs to get balanced. He goes out walking, and he goes to the river, and he has this epiphany where he realizes what he needs to do. Their relationship is not good. It's not good. Okay, they're both having issues, and so he has figured out what he needs to do to fix stuff. Okay, so I love the poem. I love that it's a poem about real life issues, dark issues, heavy stuff, and it presents itself in this more traditional conservative way. Okay. Anyway, so that we have 24 lines and 6 stanzas. When you are writing your essay, instead of citing page numbers, you're going to cite lines. If you quote a poem, you cite what line number. So if you, were to quote this entire sentence, last night I went out walking out on the edge of town, then in your parentheses, you would have 1 to 2, because that's line 1, 1, 2, and 2. If you quoted this line, the river's water runs so cool it calms my burning skin. It takes away my aching thoughts and cleanses all my sin. Maybe you want to quote that entire stanza. You would then cite 17 through 20, because that would imply that you are referring to line 17, 18, 19, and line 20. Okay, so it's always important to know the line numbers, and we're talking about things like stanzas, because oftentimes sometimes stanzas are separated by ideas. All right, parts of a poem. All the things that help us to understand a poem better. Figurative language. Okay. Figurative language is any language that goes beyond the literal meaning of words in order to furnish new effects or fresh insights into an idea or a subject. The most common figures of speech are simile, metaphor, and alliteration. Yeah. Okay. So like here, when he's talking about the river's water runs so cool, it calms my burning skin, takes away my aching thoughts, cleanses all my sins, to let it flow on and take me down to sleep, that quiet sleep, and roll my body back to you. My love you may always keep. It implies suicide, but this is figurative language. The river is symbolic of, as I said, committing himself to a psychiatric hospital, because once he commits to it, he has to do whatever the hospital says, and essentially he's under their authority and their control. And the only way he's going to get better is if he lets his own ego go, because he has not been able to take care of himself, and so he needs to submit all of his, essentially his autonomy, his life, to the doctors and let them fix him. And so it's kind of like committing suicide to his independent self, where now he must allow other people to take care of him. And that's a very hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. Okay. And that, while like in a sense it's like he's being dramatic by saying, I'm gonna sleep that quiet sleep, death is, this is the death of my pre-psychotic life, this is the death of my independent self, and I know that I'm only going to get better if I commit to the flow of the psychiatric hospital. So figurative language, it's not really just about a dude going out to the river and maybe jumping in and dying. Okay. Figurative. Similes. Comparison using like or as. So, as brave as a lion, as dumb as an ox. Metaphors. Clouds are cotton candy. Grandpa was a mule. Tom is a rock. Simon and Garfunkel, they sing a song about it. I am a rock. I am an island. Dun, dun, dun. He's not really an island. He's not really a rock. It's a metaphor. And these words, listen, when you're writing your essay number 2, these are some words I might want you to use. If you're going to talk about symbolism in your poem, if you're going to talk about similes being made, metaphors being made, you need to understand those and be able to use those terms. Okay. Metaphors are a figure of speech in which one thing is spoken as though it were something else. It's a direct comparison of two unlike things. Grandpa was a mule, meaning he's stubborn. Damn stubborn old man. Tom is a rock, okay, means Tom is hard. Clouds are cotton candy. They're fluffy and sweet. An extended metaphor is a metaphor that lasts a really long time. Okay. It compares two essentially unlike things at some length and in several ways. Okay. So, and as you like it, there's a quote that's very famous. All the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. And then it continues and continues and continues talking about how life is a play. This is just a play, and you're the fool in the play, and you're the hero, and it just goes on and on and on. Continues to talk about the metaphor of the theater. Okay, so an entire poem about the same metaphor could be an extended metaphor. Okay, yeah, a very long. If the whole poem is just about this one thing, it's an extended metaphor. Personification, figurative language in which a non-human subject is given human characteristics, like the wind. Gently call it her name. It's not true. Can't do that. Imagery. Usually these words or phrases create a picture in the reader's mind. Some imagery appeals to the other 5 senses. Like sight, hearing, touch, taste. But the most predominant is sight, how things look. Okay, how it looked. Some poems deal with sight, sound, touch, and taste, but a lot of them just the way things look. Symbolism, the practice of representing things by means of symbols or of attributing symbolic meanings or significance to others' events. That's like in the previous poem where what the river wasn't a metaphor because he never says, "Oh, uh, the hospital is a river." It's never stated. It's not a simile because it's not like, "Oh, the river is like a hospital." He just talks about the river, but he talks about it in a way that's much more deeper than just being a river. And he talks about implied suicide, but that again is a symbol, letting go of his sort of free self. Okay, and so this is that. Those are more symbolism. Symbolism is like a metaphor, but you don't say what one thing is like something else. You just use an object to refer to something else. Okay. And I'm going to go over that more in a moment. A symbol may have more than one meaning, or its meaning may change from the beginning of into a literary work. Or the writer just writes a poem where anybody can make the symbol into a deeper meaning. They create more of a scenario, and the individual reader will decide, oh, well, to me, I interpret it this way, and me, I interpret it this way, and that's all right. Allusion is an indirect reference to a famous person, place, event, or literary work. Okay. Diction is the words that our author uses. Some writers use formal diction, some use informal. I love poetry and all writing with curse words in it. It's awesome. Now, so there's connotation and there's denotation when we're talking about like diction. Connotation is the unofficial understanding, but more of the common use or association of a word. While denotation is the official actual definition of a word. So like snake. For most people, not everyone, but for most people, snake has a negative connotation. It has a negative sort of understanding of the word. Often something like evil or dangerous. And you call someone, "Yo, you're a snake. You came in here just to cause problems. Bleh, you're a snake." People aren't really like, "Oh my God, you're so like warm and cuddly like a snake. Look at you, just wrapping yourself around us. Oh, this is great." No, they don't do that. Okay. Snake has a negative connotation. You don't want to be referred to as a snake. Notation is just, says a snake is any of numerous scaly, legless, sometimes venomous reptiles. That's it. So oftentimes we use words for their connotative meaning, not their actual definitions. Tone is the author's attitude. We kind of already talked about this with some of our previous work. Okay, so theme, the main idea or message of a literary work. There might be a universal truth that anyone can understand. It might be a statement about society, human nature, the human condition. Okay, there's theme. It's an idea. It's not what the story is about, but it's just what the poem sort of the message it presents. Okay, it can be directly stated or it can be implied. Okay, so let's look at this poem, Stalled. Now, this is by the same person who wrote. No, this is not. This is not. But this is by that person's wife. The poem we just read previously is by someone different, but his wife is Rennie Sparks, and she wrote this poem. It's called Stalled. Falling snow spun above the road, winding through the dark woods where my pickup stalled. Falling snow hissing through the air, painting my windows white till the trees disappeared. Even though I started to feel cold and I was far from town, I just sat there in the dark. That's it. Beginning to end. That's it. Okay, 3 stanzas, 3 lines each, total of 9 lines. Great poem. Love it. So like the way I interpret this is this. This is my interpretation. Okay. You might interpret this as just being a narrative poem about someone who's driving through the woods, it's snowing, and the truck breaks down, and they're just there. Okay? This is the way I interpret this. Falling snow, it represents the catalyst of death, the bringer of death. Winding through means like life's journey. This is a poem about getting old, way old. And as you're getting old, it's starting to snow, which is like signs that your death is imminent. Okay. The winding road, dark woods, it's life's journey. Dark wood, old age. The sun is going down. Maybe I'm thinking about this because I just turned 40. So, death is just like right there. Breathing on my neck. Okay. I mean, look at that. Great. That's gray hair. Yeah, I'm decaying as we speak. So dark wood is old age. The sun is setting. It's going down, like time is passing. And this person's in their pickup truck, which is really their body. Okay. The person driving it is their brain. The pickup truck and it's old and it's broken. It's breaking down because as we get old, our bodies break down. The windows are turning white. That's to me, I see this as maybe like the person's come down with like an illness, like I don't know, Alzheimer's, dementia, or cancer, some sort of disease that is piling up in their body, whitening their window. Trees are disappearing. Okay, they're being covered up by this. It's kind of like the point of no return. Maybe you're going to, like hospice, or you're being put in the hospital for extended amount of time. Okay, but as the trees are disappearing, all that was around you is disappearing. This is the inevitability of the coming of death. Even though I started to feel cold, again, to me is a allusion, a reference to death and the loss of life. Corpses are cold. Okay, people are always like, when they're in a film, they're dying, they're bleeding out. They're like, I'm so cold. Morphine, please. I need some morphine. So yeah, cold equals death. Then dying. And then finally, and even though it's far from town, like everyone else who's alive is away over there, I just sat there in the dark. And what I liked about this is that it doesn't have a sad, depressing, scary ending. It's not fearful. Even though I think everyone else would be afraid. It's a dark wood. Oh, scary movie. Snow's piling up. The car breaks down. No, what am I gonna do? Oh my god! But this person, even though that phrase, even though all this shit's happening, whatever. I just sat there in the dark. Bring it. Okay, bring it. There's no fear. There's no sadness. There's nothing. It's just completely like, the speaker's like, I'm at the end of the road. This is it. Okay. On to the next chapter. Whatever. So I like it, like I think that it's a poem that just looks at death as inevitable, and there's no point in fighting it, and there's no reason to be afraid. It is what it is. Okay. I mean, it's not great and peaceful. No, it's kind of peaceful. It's not like great, exciting, something to look forward to. All right. But I mean, at this point, when you're that old and you're that going through the process of breaking down, I'm like, okay, come on, bring it on. That's my interpretation of Stoller. If this was a poem that I would write about my essay and I explain, that, cool. All right. And the main source it uses is all symbolism, because there's no metaphors and there's no similes. It's a great big metaphor. Okay. This week's work. Read and watch Spring and Fall analysis. Read and watch Neutral Tones analysis. Read and watch Madam and Her Madam analysis. Read If We Must Die and complete the analysis assignment. read Let America Be America Again and complete the analysis assignment. And then, if you have time, do the extra credit, the Raven. Listen, if you don't do the Raven this week, do it next week. I mean, at any point that I'm grading papers or grading work and the assignment, the Raven pops up in my to grade list, I'm just going to give you the extra credit points. Does it have to be this week? It's not like a one and done. You get this one chance. If you don't do it, oh well. Okay. It's a look. This is the extra credit. If you want to wait to see, you want to wait to see how well you do on or how poorly you do on SA1, then wait. Some of you might be like have A's. If you have an A, you're like, I don't need to do the extra credit. But then maybe after your SA1 grade, if you get back and it's kind of low, and then you'll have some extra points, you can do the Raven. So you can just sit on it. You can just sit on this assignment for a while. It does not expire. It only expires when the course is over. Okay. So if you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. I don't care. It's there. It's there. The school usually assigns it, but because I have all these other videos I'm having you watch and stuff, it's just be extra. Okay. So it's cool. It's cool. Okay. That's what I'm saying to you. All right. That's it. That's it. Here's the course. All this is under poetry unit. Okay. Week 6 poems and analysis lectures. There it is. And then here's the assignments. Okay. And there's extra credit. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm around. Okay. And I will take care of you if you need anything. Okay. Bye bye.